So at the moment, Laura Kuenssberg is doing Kuenssberg? Laura, anyway. The former BBC what's her face is doing a rather good documentary. She's just done one on the transition from Theresa May to Boris Johnson, all the chaos that happened in that. It's called The State of Chaos. It's on the BBC. You can watch it on iPlayer if you can. I highly recommend it. It's very good. However, the next two I am particularly looking forward to, because certainly it will obviously cover the Johnson period, and almost certainly it is going to cover the Truss period. And I must express this because every single time Liz Truss comes out and says anything, it must be repeated ad nauseum that Liz Truss, with her disastrous mini budget, she did crash the UK economy, destroy almost, from what we heard, the Bank of England pension companies were near hours away from bankruptcy. And if that had happened, and bear in mind the way that the UK economy is structured, these pension companies invest in a ton of different industries and companies throughout the UK. If the pension companies had gone under, they would have been forced to call their debts in, to recall all those investments, which would have had catastrophic outcomes for the UK economy. And if you think things are bad now, and they are because of her disastrous mini budget, things could have been even worse. Because if this was a mini budget, who knows what chaos and destruction and actual budget would have looked like if coming from Liz Truss. And to be honest, that fact alone should render Liz Truss completely unelectable. The Tories should just be pushing her out, telling her to shut up and keep quiet. But no, she doesn't. She continues on because, as far as she is concerned, she was right. Those actions which destroyed the UK economy are right. It's not her fault. She has never apologized for the chaos and disruption she has caused to this country, and continues to blame anyone but herself. And unfortunately, as I remind you very often, there are others still in the Tory party that completely agree with what Liz Truss was trying to do, including Rishi Sunak to some points, but they think that what should have happened was, rather than rush into it, what you need to do is take a more slowly approach to it. So we need to be careful of these people and remind people that those people, if we ever do get someone who is like a slowly type person, we need to remind them, well, look, they're taking the exact same actions of what Liz Truss did. And look at the chaos that she not only caused, but the disaster of what the UK economy could have become had she succeeded. But here she is in the Telegraph, complaining today that it once again wasn't her fault. It was actually left-wing orthodoxy that wrecked her premiership. I am speechless. The left wing had nothing to do with wrecking your premiership, Liz. It was all on you. You were the one who wrecked your own premiership. So let's go finding out what Liz Truss has to say about this blame that she is desperate to pass onto someone else. And as I said before, I think Liz Truss is looking to climb that ladder again. I think if she survives the coming Tory tsunami, if she manages to keep her head above water and keep her seat, oh, absolutely, she's going to have another crack at it. She is absolutely going to have another crack at it. Everything she is saying about it not being her fault, that if only we had followed these ideas, they would have worked, it leads me to believe she is going to have another crack at it. And things like this, saying, oh, it wasn't my fault, it was the left wing orthodoxy, trying to pave the way for it. I really do believe that. I really, really do. So, before we go into this, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, well, buy me coffee. And of course, there is the YouTube thank you button and the Pony Club as well. So let's go diving into this excuse-ridden article. This surprisingly does not come from the Telegraph. The title of Left-Wing Orthodoxy Wrecked My Premiership, claims Liz Truss. Liz Truss has said her premiership was wrecked by pushback against a left-wing orthodoxy that has captured the West. The former Prime Minister insisted her tax-cutting agenda only failed because there wasn't enough support for Conservatives' ideas from within the establishment. No, it was the economy reacting to your ridiculous decisions, which she had been warned about would happen. Truss also took aim at Joe Biden and accused him of seeking to exploit socialist economic policy to Europe and the UK through the global rules on the minimum corporation tax levels. And to be honest, that's really good, actually. Joe Biden saying that there needs to be, minimum corporation tax levels. I think that's actually relatively quite good. And I think that America saying that does send a signal that, these big international corporations, that if they get charged in one country, just move all their money to another country where it's not going to get taxed. The only way you can really solve that is with a global initiative. So if they're going to do that, fantastic. Fantastic. But she continues. Truss also made remarks in an interview a year on from becoming Prime Minister after winning the Tory leadership against Rishi Sunak. Speaking to the Mail on Sunday, she accused successive Tory leaders of not doing enough to rid the state of socialist ideas embedded by Tony Blair. God, you have no many idea how many people who hate Tony Blair with an absolute passion, or who are absolutely dreading all these quote Blairites coming into power, and yet you have Liz Truss saying, "Oh yeah, Tony Blair embedded all these socialist ideas," and they're like, "Oh, the absolute twist, the absolute somersault someone like Owen Jones would have to do if he responded to this article would be absolutely hilarious." But there you go. She continues saying, she said it was, quote, too late by the time she entered number 10, saying, I was pushing against a system and against an orthodoxy that was gradually moving to the left. As a party, we had done enough to try and lay the ground and really change the architecture that Blair and Brown had left behind. No, I don't think we had done enough. Truss had signalled out the Bank of England and the Office for Budget Responsibility. You mean the ones that warned her of the catastrophic consequences of her budget, like it is meant to do, as having been captured by said quangos, have become overly powerful. The Prime Minister, or at least the former Prime Minister, had said that the Tories had been wrong to topple Boris Johnson, even though it led to her to get the top job. She took aim at Sunak, her successor in Downing Street, saying that taxes are too high and the government is too big, and for Britain to thrive economically. Again, it doesn't make a lot of sense. We've been into this crazy free market fundamentalist ideology before, but that's what they're trying to push. She said, why is it that despite being a Conservative MP for 13 years, despite Conservative ideas having been proven right time and again, no, they haven't, why is it that the left have been making been making the running. She said, "You've got the global left, which Biden is obviously a key part of, and they're going to be many Americans, you know, cringing at that thought that Biden is part of the quote global left. Now, he's certainly not progressive, and I think he's certainly done a lot more progressive things than people expected him to, which has been good. But yeah, that's going to make a lot of Americans cringe as well. So being part of the left with Biden, obviously key part of, but also the global environmental movement, the Greta Thunbergs of this world, the anti-capitalist movement, they have been very effective in pushing what is politically acceptable. No, it's because we've been pushing back against these crazy ideas that conservatives have been rallying for, that in this case have been in charge for over 13 years, going hard in austerity. Just last week alone, we have had successive evidence and key evidence of the whole rack scandal, the Birmingham City Council going bankrupt. All that has been because of 13 years of Tory rule, of saying, yeah, we're going to take away all your resources, but you've still got to do more with less. The NHS, the reason why it's in the state it has been because it has been underfunded in an attempt to try and get it to collapse on its own so that they can just go, oh, well, now we have to privatize it, because that's what the Tories do time and time again. Their plan has been, oh, we've taken over. Oh, that's privatized, or sorry, nationalized. Well, we're just going to defund it. Oh, look, it's collapsed. Guess we've got to privatize it now. That's what they have done time and time again. That is what they are trying to do to the NHS, which they have so far not succeeded in. This is why we have to get a Labour government in, because they will fund it. But anyway, let's finish this off. So Miss Truss has said that she, quote, really fears for the future of the West and that we need to get a Republican back in the White House. Given we're going to do a live stream of this, we've got to do a live stream of this. I think we've got to, of the crazy plan that Republicans have put out for like the crazy fascist plan they've got if Trump gets in again, that they want to do, the 2025 plan, I think it is, or something like that, which is full-blown fascism and absolute other crazy nonsense as well. This is what they want to import over here, and Truss has become, I think, highly influenced by those think tanks that have roots in America to push this libertarian, free market, fundamentalist ideology, which has shown, when it has done, has failed catastrophically. You want an example? Truss's mini budget failed catastrophically. When this idea was originally done, back by the UK in like the 18 somethings, we had the whole first global fair to try and show off Britain. The UK farming industry nearly collapsed because of all the grain that was coming in from America that was no longer being taxed. They had to put tariffs on it. Again, something which they said would be a massive boom to it. And they were kicked out. It took about 6 years for them to realize that the mistake in that. And now they're trying to push the exact same free market fundamentalist that has been proven time and time again throughout history, this Austrian school of economics, which does not work. It only favors the absolute wealthy, who are already wealthy enough to be able to take advantage of these things. And that is something that we must fight back against. But Liz Truss, once again, claiming that left-wing orthodoxy wrecked her premiership. No. Liz Truss wrecked her own premiership with her own crazy free market fundamentalist ideas. That was her own fault. And even Kwasi Kwarteng, which I'm slightly looking forward to be honest, because he has shown himself so far in that first episode, he has popped up a couple of times. And I've said before, he is one of the people who is desperately, desperately trying to salvage his political career by trying to distance himself as far away as possible from Liz Truss. So I would not be surprised if in that final episode, in about 2 weeks' time, when it drops, he is going to have, I think, a lot to say about that. I really think he is. And it'll be interesting to see what he says. But as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, Liz Truss, still a disaster. Still just will not go away. But hey, unfortunately, I think she's here to stay, at least for the time being. But as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.